Wickd to that video. Explain, why is it that you only want to play the big characters?
Well, it's just fun to run around and push people around. It's always a good joy to do that.
Yeah, and talking about pushing people around, we of course saw the first game between the Lemondogs and Team Solomid. And before they take to the Rift on our time, I want to talk about that game because a very, very impressive performance by TSM. But to me, every move that Lemondogs make or didn't make screamed of inexperience.
Yeah, and we actually have a clip that can show that. So let's take a look at the clip, and we can see just roll it right away. Not only did they give away the first bite of Bjergsen, it was the tower dive up top. Because Mew, let's just keep going here, because Mew up top on Malphite ended up teleporting all the way up there, and he was the one who just sat there and let 3 people dive. I mean, Wickd, you're a top laner who's played a lot of 1v2 lanes. What should have you done in this situation?
Like, I would say the teleport is debatable, because if the jungler doesn't show up top, it's all right. But the second he sees the jungler showing up, he needs to run away and just flee, because he can't do anything when it was free. And the only thing you're ever going to do is die and lose XP anyways.
And at this point, he teleported top just to die. And it's one of those inexperienced things that happen, because competitive play, especially against TSM, so much of that is about 2v1 and 3v1 laning, but if you're coming from solo queue with inexperience, he's just used to the 1v1 laning. And throughout the game, they were just making those kind of individual decisions and not the team ones.
Yeah, I would agree it's a really good tactic from TSM to go 1 vs 2. Even if I would say a 1 vs 2 favors Malphite over Renekton, because Renekton's a lane bully, it's still a smart move, because it seemed like Lemondogs didn't know how to deal with it, because they haven't played it that much. And you can't really train it in solo queues, because you would need your entire team to play as a team, and that doesn't really happen that often.
Yeah, and you say how Renekton is a lane bully, and then I was kind of watching the picks and bans go by, and the Lemondogs banned out Dr. Mundo, Olaf, and Shyvana, had first pick, and picked Lucian and not Renekton. Is that maybe where it all started to go wrong, or?
I think it depends on Darius' champion pool. Like, it seemed like they wanted to ban him out, but he still had a comfortable champion, so they might have picked it. But it all depends, like, if Darius got more multiple or more comfortable champions or not.
Yeah, it was really odd, because I was sitting upstairs actually with Reginald, and when he saw the 3 bans that were top laners, he was like, oh no, maybe they're going for Darius. But not picking Renekton just gave him one of his best champions anyway. So to me, that was a little bit of inexperience or just missed preparation by Lemondogs, because if you're going to ban those 3 champions, it seems like they were doing the power bans, and they weren't actually targeting Darius, which is probably their biggest mistake there.
And we also saw when the team fights came, it wasn't that bad, but there was just, at that point, they were so far behind.
Like, I think the individual skill is pretty similar, but the experience is just not there. Like, TSM's experience have been around for so long, and they even got experience from Europe now by having Bjergsen on the team. And Lemondogs is a new team, so they just don't know how to do all the things right.
Yeah, we're going to see how that pans out in Game 2. Right now, we're going to hear what the fans had to say. Of course, earlier we asked you at home to hit us up and let us know which player has impressed you the most this weekend and why. And here are our favorite answers. The first one is from, oh my lord, F-Lord. He says, definitely Froggen. His spears were almost on aimbot mode. Due to his poke, they always had an HP lead before fighting.
Listen, even if his spears weren't on point in those games, I feel like they would have absolutely crushed, because, I mean, Wickd was 1v5ing by the end of it, but really, Froggen is always impressive, and he hasn't gotten any worse. I mean, coming into the next split, I'm really excited to see what he does in mid lane.
The second tweet is from @BlasterBoy2. He says, Jessa surprised me the most so far. He had very solid control and placement with his bombs on Ziggs in that whole series. But then there were only a couple of games where he actually stepped up.
I'd agree that Jesus is an impressive player and so on, but he's very inconsistent. Like, you see some games where he doesn't do so well, but for other games he's amazing, and that's just what makes him a standout player, in my opinion.
Yeah, one thing that did impress me about him, though, is to come from a point of actually seeming to choke so much in the first 2 or even in the previous things. A lot of people said he didn't have the LAN experience, but after being down 0-2, to play solidly in the 3 games directly after that, that's the thing that is impressive.
And one is going to be here week by week playing in the studio. That might, of course, get better. And then the last tweet is from @Svekolol. He says, Svenskeren really did a great job in games 3 through 5 versus Super Hot Crew. His presence was all over the map, and his Elise was insane. I think we can only concur.
I think that Svensken is dedicated to the game. He's always one of the players that impresses us. For example, when he played in LCS, he was always impressive. He was doing a good job. He was helping out Bjergsen a lot. So he's a really good player, and he's always impressive, in my opinion.
Very solid. Maybe let me direct a question at you guys as well. Who has impressed you guys the most over the last couple of days?
Well, for me, I would say that in my team, Kasmis have impressed me the most, because he hadn't really played that many tournaments. He's new to it, and he didn't seem nervous at all. He just went in there and did his job really well.
I think Wicked's been pretty solid this whole time. Good work.
So when we go into this next game of the Lemondogs versus TSM, we talked about inexperience, we talked about those mistakes. Is that something that we can remedy from 1 game to 2, or?
I think it's something that can change instantly. For example, if Lemondogs gets down a 1 versus 1 lane and 2 versus 2 in like a normal setup, I think they'll do a lot better because the individual skill is not far off.
I would agree with Wickd that that's what they need to do. I don't know if it's going to be enough, because even if they're in 2v2 lanes right now, Bjergsen getting a first blood kill, level 3 into the game, it will definitely help them a lot, and the next game could be a lot closer. I still think TSM takes this 2-0.
Right. Thank you very much, Jeff.